My name is Elina Thomas. I grew up in a small town in New Jersey where mornings smelled like fresh grass and evenings felt like soft whispers of wind. I've always been a quiet girl, a little too thoughtful for my age. I didn't have many friends in school, but books and the sky were my closest companions. Everything changed in 10th grade when a new boy joined our class. His name was Raiden Clark. It wasn't his height or his looks that caught my attention. It was something else. His kindness, his calm voice, and the way he listened more than he spoke. On his very first day, he greeted everyone with a hi, but when his eyes met mine, he gave a gentle smile, as if to say, "I see you." That one smile, it did something to me. Slowly we became friends. Raiden was an incredible artist, and I loved writing poetry. We started working together on school projects and learned to admire each other's creativity. Sometimes, after class, we'd sit in the library, sharing stories and dreams. Raiden would say, "You're different, Elina. I see courage in your eyes." I never replied. I just smiled. Being around him made me feel special, like I mattered. But nothing stays perfect forever. As our friendship grew, I began to feel something deeper, something beyond friendship, but I was afraid that if I spoke, things would change, afraid that he wouldn't understand. So I stayed silent. The last summer of high school was unforgettable. Our school organized a community art and writing event. Naturally, Raiden and I signed up. We were paired again. He'd paint, and I'd write a short story to match the emotion of his artwork. We spent hours in the park, under the big oak tree, brainstorming ideas. Sometimes he would paint in silence, and I'd quietly scribble verses beside him. It felt like we had created our own world, free of expectations. One afternoon, Raiden brought me a sketchbook filled with faces that looked like me, different moods, different smiles. I was stunned. "Why me?" I asked, nervously laughing. He looked at me and said, "Because you have more stories in your eyes than most people have in their lives." I blushed, not knowing how to respond. It was the first time I felt completely seen. As the event drew near, our bond grew deeper. Yet, the more I cherished those moments, the more afraid I became. I didn't want to risk losing him, so once again, I kept my feelings inside. The art and writing event was a beautiful success. Our project, titled Echoes of the Unspoken, won the Judges Award for Emotional Depth. Raiden and I were called on stage to accept our certificates, and in that brief moment of spotlight, he squeezed my hand gently. It was the first time he had ever done that. After the event, he walked me home. The air felt different that evening, like something was waiting to be said. "Elina," he began, "you make everything feel like poetry." I smiled, heart pounding, but my lips said nothing. When we reached my porch, he paused. "There's something I want to tell you, but maybe not today." I nodded, almost whispering, "Maybe I already know." He looked surprised. "Then maybe you feel it too?" We stood there, two teenagers caught in something fragile and real. But just when it felt like we were inches from something beautiful, my mom opened the door. The moment passed, and just like that, nothing was said. After that evening, something changed. Not in the way we spoke, but in the silence between our words. It was softer, fuller, like both of us were waiting for the other to say what neither had the courage to. School was ending, college letters were coming in. Raiden got accepted into an arts university in Oregon. I got a scholarship in New York. We were excited, but also scared. One day, while packing books in the library, I finally asked, "Are you happy about leaving?" He looked at me with quiet eyes. "I don't know. I want to go, but I also don't want to leave you behind." My heart tightened. Maybe we won't be far. Maybe distance is just numbers. Raiden smiled. "Only if we make sure to stay close." That was the closest we came to admitting it, that we meant something more to each other. But still, no confessions, only quiet promises that life may not let us keep. College began and life picked up speed. Raiden and I tried to stay in touch. Calls, texts, sometimes long emails filled with updates, but time zones and deadlines made everything slower. We both knew the connection was changing, though the bond remained. I would still smile when I saw his name pop up. He'd still send sketches, sometimes of quiet girls under big trees. One winter, I wrote him a long letter. I didn't send it. It said everything I never dared to say. "I think I loved you, Raiden. Maybe I still do. But I was afraid of changing what we had. I thought silence would protect us, but maybe it only built distance. And if the silence would protect us, but maybe it only built distance." That letter stayed in my drawer. One snowy evening, I got a message from him. "Alina, are you free this weekend? I'm coming to New York." I stared at the screen. My heart whispered, "This is it." When I saw him outside the bookstore in Manhattan, it felt like the world had pressed pause. He looked a little older, a little more confident, but his eyes, those were the same. We hugged. Not long, just enough. We spent the day walking around the city, sipping cocoa, laughing at memories. I kept waiting for the right moment to say something, anything. At sunset, sitting by the fountain near Central Park, I looked at him and whispered, "There's something I should have told you a long time ago." He smiled, "Then say it now." I took a deep breath. I loved you, Raiden, quietly, completely. I still do. He didn't look shocked. He looked sad. "Alina, I did too. Maybe I still do, but I've been seeing someone. The world didn't break, but something inside me gently shifted. I didn't cry, not then, maybe because deep down I always knew. Life isn't a storybook, and feelings don't always arrive on time. We sat in silence for a while. He reached for my hand. You'll always be one of the most important parts of my life. I nodded. And you, mine. Before he left, he gave me a small notebook. Keep writing, he said. Your words changed me. We hugged again, this time longer, a little tighter. Then he walked away, and I let him. The days that followed were quiet. I read the notebook he gave me. It had sketches of all the places we'd been, tiny notes beneath them. One said, "She taught me silence could be loud." I smiled. I began writing more, not love stories, but stories about growth, about courage, about letting go. Raiden and I still talked on birthdays, holidays. The connection remained, though it changed form. We weren't what we could have been, but we were something rare, and sometimes that's enough. Years passed. I published my first poetry book. At the launch, I saw a familiar face, Raiden, standing at the back, smiling. After the event, he walked up to me. "You did it, Alina." I laughed. "We did it." He gave me a framed painting, a girl under an oak tree. She never needed a happy ending, he said. She became the story. We talked for hours, but this time there were no expectations, just respect and a shared past. I realized that some people come into your life not to stay forever, but to help you become who you're meant to be. Today, I teach creative writing in the same school where I met Raiden. I sit under the same oak tree, watching new students dream big. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had spoken sooner, but then I smile. Because love doesn't always mean possession. Sometimes loving someone more than yourself means letting them go, letting them grow, and still holding a place for them in your story. He wasn't mine, but he helped me find me. And that was the real love story.